Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tommy and welcome to a brand new series of videos where I will be giving you 5 tips for building in every single biome and always throw in top 10 dinosaurs that these biomes cannot be missing. As per my personal taste of course, but have you ever built a desert park without a Carnotaurus? I mean, I haven't. We're kicking things off with the one biome that the majority of the players find the most challenging when it comes to making your parks pretty, the desert biome. Having built on all 3 of the desert maps, yes, we only have 3 and it was a shock to me as well, I picked up a trick or 2 that I would like to share with you in this video. And you might even get a sneak peek at a special desert park that I am building at the very moment and should be premiering this May, if all goes according to the plan. I mean, you never know. So, without any further ado, here are my 5 tips for the desert biome, followed by my top 10 dinosaurs to use across the 3 desert maps. Tip number 1. Different elevation levels are a must. When it comes to building a desert enclosure, we do not have that many options for exciting vegetation or exciting textures, which, let's be frank, can feel quite lackluster and kinda all the same. You cannot really distinguish one enclosure from another by just using different textures. If you want to learn to create unique looking enclosures in the desert biome, check out my previous series, One Biome, 6 Different Enclosures. What you absolutely have to do when creating a regular desert looking enclosure though, is to break down the terrain by elevation differences. While most of us, myself included, often default to raising the terrain and leaving some of it flat, when it comes to the desert, you can achieve a nice contrast by lowering the ground right next to a hill you've created. If you look at the pictures of the American desert, you will rarely find even ground, or any desert for that matter. Some added bonus to this tip is that your guests will enjoy a better view of the animals from the viewing gallery or a park tour if you lower the ground at a strategically chosen spot. However, do not forget to follow a previous tip of mine from my 10 Don'ts of Sandbox video. If you put water in an enclosure with varied elevation levels, make sure it's all the way down, since realistically, you wouldn't have a leg on top of the hill. Unless you're doing cascades, of course. Tip number 2. You can create a forest by using everything. Literally. And by everything, I do mean everything. Start with the ginkgo trees, which resemble our basic temperate trees. Then continue on with the seed plants and try to place them all around the spots where the game didn't give you any ginkgos. And trust me, there will be plenty of space for you to fill in the blank spaces. After placing the seed plants, try to fill the remaining spots in your forest with the cycads and use the placeable palms to provide finishing touches and some more density. Don't forget to incorporate rocks, as always. If you're doing a beach setting, ground fiber will provide you with a nice flower-like or meadowy transition from the water to the forest. Never use calamities in the desert environment, since they resemble pine trees and it does not make sense that they will grow in this setting. Applying this method when creating a forest isn't always the easiest, since the individual brushes will keep deleting each other's vegetation, driving you crazy in the process. However, if you remain vigilant, you can achieve a really nice effect. Tip number 3. Each of the desert maps offers something unique. Yes, there are only 3 desert maps in the game, but I guess we do not really need more with the limited options that the desert biome provides. Each of these maps will give you something unique that the others won't, which might help you a lot when deciding on which of these you want to build your next desert park. The most obvious one, the San Diego map, gives you the Lost World San Diego Amphitheater if you choose not to go with the flat and terrain option. However, this map has much more to offer. It's the only desert map that has an ocean view, and most importantly, what you might not know, it is the only desert map that offers white colored sand. Yes, the other 2 desert maps only have these gray and brown sands that don't make room for tropical enclosures that you can create on the San Diego map. This does not mean that these 2 maps are inferior, each one of them holds its own. The Southwest map sports the Grand Canyon setting, a beautiful view to one side and majestic mountains to the other one. While many may find the limitations of this map in the fact that there are huge patches of land where you are unable to build, creating obstacles for your enclosures, it also provides a great opportunity for a backdrop to all of your enclosures unobstructed by fences, giving you the illusion of natural barriers. Moreover, the narrow passes between the parts of the map can provide you with a thin canyon-like enclosure space for your dinosaurs, very suitable for small theropods. Or alternatively, you can put a tour track through these narrows and have an enclosure completely separated by mountains. Last but not least, Arizona gives you the opportunity to build large enclosures by providing a vast space all across the map. It's the perfect map to build an Egyptian-style pyramid on, which, if you need some inspiration, you can see me built in my Jurassic Egypt series, or alternatively download the build on Nexus so that you don't have to go through the perils of building a pyramid on your own, but you do you. The Arizona map is also a perfect setting for a little ranch park if you ever decided to build one. Speaking of ranches, my tip number 4, the desert offers two vastly different aesthetics. The two major directions for your desert parks are oases and ranches. There is, of course, much more than you can do when it comes to desert maps and coming up with themes, but if you want one cohesive aesthetic, you will usually base it on one of these two. Let me explain. If you decide to go with an oasis aesthetic, you use a lot of palm trees, vegetation planters, and fountains. When it comes to terraforming, create lots of rivers, lakes, and jungles by using my tip number 2, by the way, for example. Use modern buildings and hotels to create a semblance of an exotic getaway vacation for your guests and create garden-like plazas, Egyptian style. If you decide to go with the more raunchy ranch aesthetic, make sure not to use a lot of fountains or plant-based decoration, but rather the rock planters, the Spinosaurus skeletons, the bamboo sticks, and the flaming pillars. For vegetation, only use shrubs and cacti since palms evoke an exotic feeling. To further utilize the ranch aesthetic, use the Jurassic Park era building set that looks the most run down, and some of the Malta decoration pieces with the industrial look, but don't use the wall pieces. My tip number 5, use appropriate rocks and textures. The default texture that I always go for when building in the desert is the red rock texture, and I think that is the default for a lot of us. While absolutely fabulous, it does prove a little monotonous upon building your 15th enclosure. What I found is that the maps with the lighter sands, like the San Diego and also the Southwest map, do combine sand texture well with water, making it sparkle like crystals. The red rock texture gets broken up perfectly with the red dirt texture, and when mixed with the cacti brush and the bush brush, wow, what a weird combination, you achieve a nice three-way combination of textures if dispersed well. When it comes to the rocks, the red ones are not the only rocks that you can utilize across these maps. Ever since the Malta expansion, we have these gorgeous white rocks in the game that fit perfectly in a jungle oasis. Alternatively, if you want to create a beach enclosure in your deserts, the black rocks are your way to go, providing an ideal contrast to the white sands. Now, what are my top 10 dinosaurs to use in the desert environment, you ask? Let me list them for you, and maybe then you can write me in the comments if you also feel like these are the ideal desert dwellers, or if you have a completely different notion of what an essential set of dinosaurs in the desert should be. At number 10, we have the Pachycephalosaurus. Some of its darker skin variants fit the desert environment very well, and ever since we housed it in the San Diego Chaos Theory, they kind of got stuck in my mind as desert dwellers. Number 9, the Nigersaurus. Whenever I build in the desert setting, I do end up bringing in this tiny sauropod because it reminds me of a hippo just happily roaming the African savanna. Liopleurodon swims all the way to number 8, and it's the only marine reptile or a flying one that makes this list. Its crocodilian demeanor and overall spikiness evoke the feeling of a hostile environment for me, and therefore it fits the desert very nicely. Number 7, the Velociraptor. The same reason as the Pachycephalosaurus really. I do blame San Diego, but even if I don't choose the tiger skin variants, I do feel like raptors belong in this environment. Number 6 houses the first fish eater on our list, the Baryonyx. The Arizona portion of the campaign caused this swampy animal to imprint in my mind as a desert-loving dinosaur, and I do have to say it kind of feels right. Red and orange at number 5, it's the Carcharodontosaurus. I always feel like large carnivores are having a ball in the deserts. I don't know, maybe it's just me, like, what do I know? We'll stay with large carnivores a little longer. Chasing us all the way to number 4, it's the Allosaurus. Its redskin variant and the Malta variant are a perfect match for the heat-heavy desert maps. Found in the Egyptian desert, the Spinosaurus cannot be missing from our list. Landing at number 3, see what I did there? Anyway, a desert, a Spinosaurus. Need I say more? Blame the movie dinosaur, number 2 on our list is none other than the Iguanodon. Yes, little Aldar came a long way, and yet I still put him out there in the scorching heat, poor thing. But at least I usually create a tiny little paradise oasis for it or something. That must count for something, right? Our honorable mentions in this list are comprised of the 3 dinosaurs that didn't quite make the top 10, but I feel that are also appropriate. The Styracosaurus that I usually use in the desert setting, the Amargasaurus which simply has desert quality, and the new Atrociraptor, especially the 4 variants from the Malta expansion. If you have ever seen any of my videos, my number 1 pick won't surprise you, it's the Carnotaurus. Again, blame the movie dinosaur, but even if it wasn't for the movie, I'd still place this animal here since its red coloring and its bull-like posture simply scream desert to me. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope that you liked the start of this new series and that it provided some inspiration for you and your probably neglected desert environment. I do remember the sudden drop of excitement after opening the desert map for the first time and then quickly realizing that there isn't that much to work with. Also, do you agree with my top 10 picks for the desert? Do let me know in the comments. Thank you everyone for watching this video. If you liked what you were seeing, do leave a like, a comment, or share this video with your friends. And if you think that you will like my upcoming content and want to get some more building tips, please do consider subscribing to my channel as there is much more coming. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tommy and I hope I'll see you here next time. But till the next time, have the greatest of days and bye-bye. Providing an illegal contrast... What did I want? Providing an ideal contrast while many may found while you achieve a nice 3-way of combination of textures. You achieve an... I did this to myself. In the game that fit perfectly in a jangle. Jangle? What the hell is jangle?